there's this number one key thing that I do not like about the ZV-1. It's actually the reason why I'm returning this camera back to Best Buy by the end of today is number one. To do a quick summary review of the Sony ZV-1. So it's been a full 2 weeks since I've been using the camera. There are definitely ups and downs of using this particular camera right here. There are a lot of things to love about it, and there are a couple things that I am not so happy about this particular camera. Now, the couple things to highlight on the pros of the camera, the number one thing that really amazed me, and it's one of my favorite thing about the camera, hands down, is the autofocus. It works like magic. It still works like magic, and it just makes showcasing your products or just showing people what you're eating, what you're doing, much easier, and it shows in such a beautiful detail as well. So the autofocus really is how you see it from other people raving about it. The results from it when you use it is just as good. And the second thing that I really love about this camera, it is the framing of the camera. Now, this is something that just personally I really love, and I know for other people, when I watch other people's review, they really prefer a wider lens and being able to capture more. If you're seeing my frame right now, I'm actually even zoomed in a little bit just so it's the frame's a little bit more limiting, and because to be honest, your girl don't really want to clean up the room right now, so whatever that you're seeing, it's intentional, so you can only see the frame that looks a bit cleaner. I personally really love it. I came from GoPro in the past, so this is the GoPro that I was using before I switched to the ZV-1. This is the GoPro Hero 8, as you could see here. And the one thing that I really didn't love about the GoPro is that, as you know, GoPro is infamous with the wide lens, the fisheye, and yes, you could put it down to linear frame, so it's a bit more focused and narrow, but still it captures pretty much half of my room. And again, sometimes I just really wanted to focus on a certain frame that I want to film, and GoPro is just limited in that sense where I cannot zoom, I mean, yes, I could crop it out later on when I'm editing, but when I'm just worried, like watching the raw data, it's just, I don't know, like there's just so much in the frame, so much that I don't want to show being in the frame, and I just didn't love it. So with the ZV-1, testing it out and playing around with it, I actually really love how flexible it is with the framing. Like for me, the widest part frame of the ZV-1 actually is perfect for me, and the fact that I'm able to zoom in and out of it to get to the perfect setting, that's even just butter. It's magic for me. So I also really love the framing of this camera. The third thing that really stood out to me for this particular camera, honestly, it's like, so this is the first, I would say, video filming camera that I have purchased, but I have been reading a lot of reviews on what's the pros and cons of this camera, and I really learned to appreciate too with just all of the outlets and what's available. Like you could input the mic into here as you like, and just how everything is just so simple. And of course, like what most people say, I really wish this was Type-C. That would have made it so much easier for so many different things and reasons, but I'm not mad at it just because at least it has a built-in outlet for a microphone, so you could just plug it in very easily. So it's really easy to use, and I really think it's just easy and efficient. It just gives me the option of like, oh, okay, maybe I want to take out this dead cat and put in a different microphone, and it's very easy to do so, so I love it. And of course, cannot not mention the flip out screen, because coming from the GoPro to now having a dedicated flip out screen, that's a game changer for me personally, just because in the GoPro, this is not the Hero 9, because the Hero 9, they have added a front screen that you are able to see yourself to kind of see what's in frame, what's not in frame. However, though I've never played with the new GoPro 9, I just can't imagine that this little tiny of a screen will be that useful to see exactly what's in frame and not in frame. And also, I have heard from other reviewers yours that it gets really laggy. So if you like wave your hand, then half a second later, that's when you see it moving in the little screen. So that's not gonna work really great. With the ZV-1, just having the flip out screen and being able to check yourself whether or not you're in frame and what's in your frame was a game changer for me, because before that, what I would do with my GoPro is that I will have this set up on the tripod, and then I would use my iPhone as a screen to check like, okay, am I in frame? And honestly, the quality of you checking through the GoPro app, it's not great. So it's like the quality looks really bad, and it makes me think like, oh my god, is the GoPro quality that's bad, or is it just overall the quality is bad? But then later on, when you export the video into your laptop, you realize like, oh, it's just honestly the app, that the quality showing on the app is just low resolution, but once you import it into your laptop, it's much better. Now, okay, let's get to the cons. What are the things that I didn't love, and some things that I really didn't like about the Sony ZV-1? There's this number one key thing that I do not like about the ZV-1. Is actually the reason why I'm returning this camera back to Best Buy by the end of today. Is number one, and all of you who just bought your camera, ZV-1 especially, still within return policy, please check this, is that even though I have went to the setting and turned off audio signal so that when you're zooming in or doing anything like turning it on and off or zooming in and out, there's no sounds to the camera. For whatever reason, despite me turning it off, when I'm recording my footage and I am filming close up to my camera, like I'm putting a product, and so it's like auto-focusing, right? You see how like it will auto-focus and it zooms in and it kind of like blurs the background a bit more. Like when it's moving like that, for whatever reason, and this only happens when you re-watch your footage on your laptop. So if you even try to watch it in your ZV-4 in the camera, you don't notice this, is that there's a beep. So whenever I go like this, like when I like zoom in, there will be this beeping sound. It's somewhat subtle, but when you like just make your camera zoom in enough times, like when I'm going through products, like, oh, look at this, check this out, and then like check another product out, when it focuses, you'll hear that beep. And when you put products in front of the camera a few times, you just hear that beep, very noticeable, and it just became very annoying. And I was really glad that that beep honestly becomes so annoying for me, and I found out, because here's the thing, I do love the Sony ZV-1, and what I have done and what I'm actually filming on right now is with another Sony ZV-1. So I actually bought another camera because I was researching online. I'm like, why is nobody talking about this? Because I've been searching online on how to get rid of the autofocus beeping sound even after turning off the audio signal. Like I try to research everything, and for whatever reason, no one's really talking about it. And so I'm like, is just what people accept at the end of the day? Like maybe it just doesn't really bother other people, or maybe other people are not using the product showcase feature as much as I am, so they're not really autofocusing as much. Like I don't know, or maybe they don't film in silence, because I usually have no background music or noises when I'm filming, so I hear it very clearly. So I was just going a bit of a marathon online trying to figure out what's going on, and nobody's really talking about it. Then it came to me one night where I was like, you know what if there's something wrong with this camera? Maybe I'm unlucky and I grabbed the bad one. Like something is wrong with this camera. So what I have done is I decided to go to Best Buy when I woke up the next day, just purchase another Sony ZV-1 camera, which is the one that I'm filming in. This is the original one that I bought. The one that I'm filming in is the new one, and I'm just gonna test out to see if it does the same thing. So that's exactly what I did. I purchased a new camera, set the exact same setting, and I did product features, make it zoom in and out throughout the last couple of days to try to see, does it do the same thing as this original Sony ZV-1 that I purchased? And the answer is no. The new camera is actually much better. Now, it's not perfect. It's not that I've never heard it beep ever. I don't know if it's just a Sony thing. For those who have experienced this, please put this down in the comment if you hear it occasionally or all the time or never, because this new camera, it is very much better than this original one. So if I were to autofocus like 10 times in front of the camera, the new one, the one that I'm using now, you could probably only hear it one time, or sometimes if I'm lucky, I hear it never. But every once in a while, I do hear it, but it's more subtle. Now this one, this original one that I got, it almost happens every single time. So if you were to put things in front of it 10 times, each and every one of those times, you'll hear that beep. and it just gets annoying after a while. Again, it's not like a super loud, obvious beep. I remember the first couple of times I actually didn't notice it until I like would accidentally, you know, make it autofocus a couple of times, so you kind of hear like beep beep like 3 times in a row, and that's when it became obvious. And that's what I was like, oh my god, I can't stand this, and there's no way that other people who bought this camera didn't mention this or complain about it. So anyway, so that's my number one recommendation, is that if you did just purchase your Sony ZV-1, again, it's not something that I was able to even identify. I even put my ear next to the camera just to see, can I hear the beep from the camera? Sometimes I actually can, and sometimes I cannot. But for whatever reason, it is the footage. It's not even in the camera. If you're trying to watch the footage from your camera, and I even turned the audio of the camera super loud just to see if I could hear it, I cannot. It's only when you have export that footage, do your SD card to your computer, and then from your computer you press play, that's when you could really hear it clearly, and that's when I heard it. So number one, please do test it out to make sure that's not happening to your camera, and if it is happening to you, please put a comment below. And if it doesn't happen to you at all and I'm just having this bad luck, please let me know too, because I'm even debating to myself with the new camera. It is much better than this one, don't get me wrong, but I just don't know, because like it still, I could hear it sometimes even though it's more subtle. I just wonder, could it still be that I grabbed the non-perfect one? I don't know if there is a perfect one, but anyways, just let me know if you have experienced this as well. That honestly is one of the main things I don't like. If I really were to say the second thing that I don't like about this camera is that, and you probably hear other reviewers already talked about this, it is the color of the camera. By the way, I really love this little thing. It just makes me feel like it's a little stuffed animal with the face, and this is the hair, and I'm sure all of you kind of feel the same way. Every time I see it, I just feel like petting it. But anyways, the second thing is the color. I'll show you an example of a raw, no color grading, no editing, no nothing image of how it looks. It is more yellow tone. It is more warm tone in comparison to other camera that I have seen. I mean, even in comparison to the GoPro produces more of like a cooler tone that's more natural. The ZV-1 does give you more of like a tanner, warmer tone. So it really depends on what you like. But for me, for some reason, I have walls that are not bright white. And of course, when you're indoors and you have yellow lighting, it just makes your background very yellow. And personally, I don't like yellow background or too yellow of the wall, so I do need to do some sort of, even if it means light color grading, to make it lighter or normal or more cooler tone. So that is one thing that you'll notice with this camera, is that the color, me personally, I would prefer cooler color, so I feel like I do need to put some editing work into it. But if you have really good lighting and you're maybe like near a window, a very big window, or you're outdoors, I think your footage could still be pretty nice and fine. But yeah, that's probably another thing. So I like basically made myself learn how I could color grade just so I could make the yellow less obvious or less harsh. And if you're also interested in learning how to do that, put a comment below and I'll try to share with you how I have done color grading just to kind of fix that issue, even though it's not perfect, but it get the job done. Alright, so those are honestly my two biggest things that I don't like about this camera, but I pretty much love everything else about it so far. I love how compact it is. I love, I mean, so many more things, pretty much everything on here. So far, I've been loving, I'm enjoying. I definitely could see myself using this for a long time. And again, for those of you that who was like listening in and out, I did say I'm gonna return this one, but I am keeping the one that I'm filming in because I knew that I was gonna have to return one. I cannot keep two Sony ZV-1. I wish, but nope. So I'm gonna return this one, but definitely keeping the one that I'm using now for as long as I can. I hope you liked the review. Talk to you soon. Bye.